Hey guys, today we're going to review Gotham Knights and do a little platinum guide for getting the platinum trophy in it. So I was very excited to get this game. It's been a long time since we had a Batman orientated or Gotham City set game. I went in with zero expectations. I know it wasn't going to be like the Arkham series. I think tonally it's a lot more a bit like Spider-Man than it is like the Arkham games. I think the Arkham games are a lot more darker and perhaps a bit more adult, whereas this game can be a bit more light and there's kind of moments of kind of fun and stuff, especially with the crew of the heroes. It has various different gameplay elements to it. There's lots of different things that you can do. So there's kind of detective type work where you're analyzing clues and trying to solve problems. There's a lot of stealth. There's obviously combat with loads of enemies surrounding you, clearing out hideouts, and of course some pretty good boss battles. The combat is not as fluid as the Arkham games, and obviously it wasn't meant to be like them, but it's kind of odd because it's halfway there. So if you remember in the Arkham games, you can kind of build up a combo, and as you're tackling, if you're surrounded in a circle of enemies, you kind of link all of your hits and just keep flowing, whereas this game kind of has half of that. Like you can get it going, but then it kind of stops. You've got to find your enemy and start hitting them again. So combat's not as fluid as the Arkham games. There is a leveling system, so you gain XP and then you reach the next level, as do your enemies, which is kind of a bit odd, and I don't really understand the point of it. So if you get to level 13, your enemies will be between levels 12 and say 14. So even though you're leveling up, they're leveling up, the combat doesn't really change that much. It just sometimes takes a bit longer to defeat the same enemies. Crafting and looting is kind of a bit of a big element to this game, and I found the menus kind of a little bit cumbersome and unnecessarily complicated for me anyway. There's lots of words and numbers that kind of just thrown at you and you have to kind of navigate through it. I found the game to be very similar to modern Ubisoft games in terms of the leveling up, the crafting, the looting, the menus. It reminded me quite a bit of Assassin's Creed Odyssey in that sense. So looking at the pros and cons of this game, starting with the pros, the game looks fantastic. I really like how it looks on the PlayStation 5. Gotham looks great at times. It just looks like a fully fledged lived-in city. It's very well realized. It's quite a great vision of Gotham City. Another pro is that we get to see and fight newer enemies that we haven't done in the past, or if we have, not that much. So it's quite good that it hasn't gone with the traditional kind of Joker, for example. They brought in newer enemies and that's given it a real fresher perspective. Another refreshing pro is that the spotlight is obviously on Batman sidekicks. I think that's quite good in terms of just building up the DC gaming universe and the characters that we have played as in DLCs, for example in Arkham Knight, but it's just great to have them have their own game and kind of learn about them as characters and watch them go on a journey. Another pro is the Bat Cycle is awesome. It's very fun to move around the city on the Bat Cycle, and I think they handled the handling and driving of it quite well. It's very easy to get used to. There's no kind of heaviness to it. It just moves really well. And in the game they've got some Bat Cycle time trials, which is just a fun little side thing that you can do in between fighting crime. Then on to the cons. I think the biggest issue with the game is probably something I'm going to repeat a lot in this video, and that is the repetitive gameplay. You know, it's a vast city, very well realized, lots of attention to detail, but nevertheless I still just kind of felt I was doing the same thing again and again, kind of. Even though there's lots of different enemy factions and enemy types, I just felt like I was fighting the same enemies again and again. The combat can be very repetitive. What you have to kind of do in the game becomes very repetitive. There is something called a knighthood ability, so all four of the heroes have their own unique way of traversing around the city. So for example, I played as Batgirl, and with Batgirl it's gliding. So you jump off a building, hold R2, or I guess it would be RT on the Xbox, and you just start gliding through the sky. You have to complete challenges to unlock that ability, which is fine, but you have to do it for all four of the heroes. So if you're playing the game as Batgirl and you decide you want to do one night as Nightwing or Robin, for example, they won't have that ability. You'd have to unlock it and do the challenges again with them. I just found that to be a little bit unnecessary. So on to the Platinum Trophy review. First things first, this is a very easy Platinum Trophy. I would probably put it as 2 out of 10, to be honest. It should take you about 35 to 40 hours. It took me exactly 38 hours to get the Platinum Trophy. There are 49 trophies in total, 39 bronze, 7 silver, and 2 gold. There are no online or multiplayer trophies, and in terms of difficulty, you can play it on easy or even very easy if you want to, if you choose to. One thing to flag is one of the trophies has you getting to level 40. So as you play through in the game, you reach a maximum of level 30. You can't go higher than that, which means you have to start New Game Plus to get to level 40. But I would definitely encourage you to make sure you finish as many trophies as you can in your first playthrough before you start New Game Plus. I'll get into more details on that in a second. All in all, the New Game Plus grind to level 40 I think took me about 3 to 4 hours. So breaking down the trophies, there are 10 that are automatic story related. There are 8 that are combat related. There are 5 that are collectible related. 12 that are side case related. There are 3 side cases that you can take on during the game, which you'll have to for the Platinum Trophy. There are 2 regarding side missions. There are 9 in terms of abilities and crafting, and then there are 3 miscellaneous trophies. So none of the trophies are missable in any way, shape or form. You can just play through the story and then tackle everything else afterwards, or you can play like I did, which is tackling the side cases, the main story all at once, and doing collectibles as I went along and focused on the combat trophies. There are 7 trophies that are specific for defeating a very specific enemy type. Some of these are on show on the trophy list when you start, and 2, perhaps 3 are hidden and secret trophies, which I'm not going to go into details about because I don't want to spoil it or ruin it for you guys. You want to complete all of these before you start New Game Plus. The reason being is some of these specific enemy types spawn in the second half of the game. So if you were to not do it and you start New Game Plus, you would then have to play all the way through until they start spawning and then take on those trophies. What you want to do is have a look for those 7 trophies and make sure you're working towards them and tackle all of them before you start New Game Plus. There's a trophy for crafting a legendary suit. So that means the suit, your melee weapon, and your ranged weapon. As you get to level 30, certain enemies will start to drop legendary items. You can also, I think, loot certain crates to get legendary items. I think I got most of mine from the enemies. So once you get to level 30, you should start to acquire these automatically. If you haven't yet, don't worry. What you should do is look on your map and look for the crimes that are labeled as very high or extremely high difficulty. If you go and take those on, some of those enemies will definitely drop legendary gear. Another trophy to look out for is in your element, and that is to inflict elemental damage on enemies 50 times. You have different elements you can use with your weapons and your suits. They involve electricity, fire, I think poison, and freezing. So you'll see the symbol of those 4 elements. You can add those onto you can pick weapons, melee weapons and ranged weapons that have those different elements. And then as you start attacking enemies, you'll see the element symbol come up above their head, above their health bar, with a circle around it. As you keep attacking them, the circle fills up fully red. Then you'll see the element logo change, and they'll be affected by that element. That's when you know you've inflicted the elemental damage on them. It's a pretty easy trophy to get. It's just make sure you're actually doing it. Unlike me, I thought I was and realized I wasn't, but I still got it well before I finished my first playthrough. So all in all, it's a very easy platinum. Like I said, very, very straightforward. Nothing's missable. You can play on the lowest difficulty, which is very easy. No online, no multiplayer, etc. So yeah, that's my review on Gotham Knights. A fun game, a game that tries to do a lot. It kind of does, it touches on lots of different game mechanics and styles, and doesn't pull off some, definitely pulls off some more than others. I think a lot of effort's gone into this game. A lot of effort's definitely gone into the city and the villains and the plot. I'd say overall as a game, I'd probably give it about a 6 out of 10. maybe a little bit disappointed, but then I knew it wasn't going to be like Batman Arkham Knight. But like I said, if you're a DC Batman fan, I definitely recommend getting this game. You'd have some fun with it. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope this gives you a bit of help on the Platinum Trophy side of things, and hopefully encourages you to play it and get the Platinum Trophy, because it is an easy Platinum. Thanks for watching and take care.